So, hi everyone. I haven't done this for a wee while, so I thought I'd get back in the game and talk about a book that I read just in the last sort of few weeks and finished, and it's called Est: Playing the Game the New Way by Carl Frederick. And so, what's it about? So, some of you may be familiar with Landmark Education, and it's a course called the Landmark Forum, and its forerunner, which was called Est, or To Be, and it started off in the 60s, and I think maybe late 60s, early 70s, and was called Est, and it became this thing called the Landmark Forum. So this guy, Carl Frederick, has obviously done some of these programs, and what he's done is basically write a sort of book about the things that the concepts that are talked about in this course, the Landmark Forum. But he doesn't talk about the actual course. He just talks about life, and really what he's doing is he's talking about life as something that you experience and how we can get things in the way. So he does talk about things like the idea of how people want to be right rather than just being who they are. And sometimes they want to be right to the extent that they want to be dead right. In other words, they will take that sense of righteousness to the grave. And the great thing about it is the way he describes it is he describes it like somebody flowing down a river or paddling in a river. And like being right is maybe sometimes paddling upstream. Takes a lot of energy, very frantic. You can do that, but as soon as you let go, you float back down again. So he kind of describes it in that way, and he talks about that and how going downstream or just following the stream or following the flow is actually a lot more in tune with what you actually want to do and want to be. So that I thought was an interesting way of putting it, and I just like the way that the guy describes things, and it's not a huge book, believe it or not. The type is quite large type, and really what it comes down to is being yourself, just being yourself, letting go, and different. When you when you read about the way he describes things, you realize that it's what a lot of other philosophies talk about: submission, being yourself, following the flow of things, and yeah, it's done in very easy to understand language. I mean, there's not much more I can really say about it, other than yeah. When you read the chapters, it looks like, how gurus get made, the 4 basic ingredients to healthy relationships in the game. So he talks a lot about game playing and how we're all trying to, he talks a bit about game playing. In fact, what does he say about game playing now? I've forgotten. I've written this down. Kids games, game stuck. So that was... Yeah, I mean, game stuck is... sometimes he talks about life as in there are certain games that we all play, and sometimes you have to accept that games have come to an end. And so there may be things that we had a purpose for, or were really, something that we were really living for. And he describes it like a game, but he goes, look, sometimes games end, and sometimes, when a game is over, you have to accept that it's over. So a lot of this is about acceptance as well, and learning to accept that a certain game is over, it's time for a new game. And he describes it in that kind of everyday way. I found trying to review this is not easy, because but when you read it, it read very easily, because it is all about just life. There was also that whole thing about, have, do, normally we are always trying to do something so that we can have something, and then we'll be something, so it's that, thing about, I've got to do something, do a career, do make loads of money, then I'll have loads of money and I'll have a career, and then I'll be happy. So he kind of really gets into that and talks about, reshuffling that, and that it's really about being, and then from that springs doing and having. And this, there's one bit that I disagreed with it, and that it talked about you being the source of everything. I slightly disagree with that. At least it doesn't follow with my belief system, in that I've always felt that the creator or God or this other universal power is at the source of everything. But he talks about you being at the source of everything. Maybe it's the same thing. Maybe they're combined. I don't know. Maybe it's in partnership. I don't know. But that's the only thing that I kind of maybe didn't quite get. Maybe I need to read it again. But anyway, if any of you are, wanting to do one of the landmark courses, and you want to read a book that doesn't have that landmark speak, and just want to understand some of the concepts, this is quite a good one. And even if you don't want to do that, and you just want to read about a book where people talk about, the guy wants to talk about just being yourself, then this, I think, is quite a good book to read. So anyway, it's called Est, Playing the Game the New Way by Carl Frederick. Yeah, and it's a kind of difficult book to review, but it's a very easy book to read. I hope you enjoyed that, and intrigued you enough to maybe want to have a look at it. Okay, thank you very much, and I'll see you all soon. And yes, I know I need a haircut and a trim and all that kind of thing, but I can't get it to a barber. Okay, bye.